And our next speaker is Francesco Pierfederici, who will explain to us how to organize such a conference.
So, well, I'm showing what you would have seen from the venue had the conference been in Granada. We are all very sad, but hey, what can we do? And I'll be talking a little bit about that. It's a little bit of a change of gear with respect to the previous talks. So I'm sure you will find it interesting. Also, I meant this talk to give a little bit of, some concrete, practical, and actionable advices to any event organizers out there, whether or not you're organizing a big conference or a small workshop, whether you're organizing an online event or an in-person event. So I think there will be a little bit of for everybody, and you'll get a glimpse of what we have been working on this years. So let me get to the next slide. This is just for posterity, just for people watching on YouTube in 10,000 years, assuming that there will be YouTube, and they can know what ADASS is about. We all know about it, so I will not spend much time on it, or any time at all. So we started working on ADASS 2 years ago. Mike and I were sitting in Santiago de Chile in front of a number of beers, and that's when we decided, why not Granada, and came back and I started working on it. I started recruiting people, some very innocent souls like Jose Enrique, who said yes without thinking too much. And things were pretty much underway when the whole COVID-19 thing exploded. It was clear that we could not hold an in-person conference. And then we had, some pretty difficult decisions to make. So one first thing of advice that I want to give you just now is this. If you're organizing an event that needs a venue, any venue, small or large, start early, especially nowadays. If we were able to hold an in-person workshop or conference, we would need a much bigger venue than we would need normally, because we would need to keep, say, 1 to 2 meter distance between people. And these venues, large venues, very large venues, there are not that many, and their calendar fills up very quickly. So in this day and age, you probably will need a much larger venue than you think. Start early. Now, when things change, you're thinking that you're organizing something and you end up organizing something different, like it happened to us because of this pandemic. You can cancel. Many people have been there before us, and some people decided to cancel. Totally understandable and totally respectable. You can postpone. Lots of conferences around the world have postponed to 2021, in some cases 2022. Again, very respectable and understandable. We decided to go online, as many others, and that had some non-trivial implications, and I would like to draw your attention to some of those. Not only we had to undo everything that we had done, but there is a couple of wrinkles there that is good to be aware of in general. So if you're organizing an event, you will be probably having to sign some contracts. And before you sign on the dotted line, there will be a lot of people who will be posing as your best friends and telling you things like, don't worry, or things like, we are partners, or things like, oh, we are all reasonable people. That's not true, okay? No, that's definitely not true. Once you sign something that they will enforce. And this is something to keep in mind, whatever you do. Always read those contracts. They're built so that you don't read them, right? They're very small fonts and language that is very hard to understand. But make sure that you can get in those contracts some cancellation clauses that are favorable to you. I know some conference organizers that were hit with cancellation fees of the order of the price of a very nice car, okay? we were lucky. Not everybody was lucky, even in this situation, right? Now, one other thing that I want to say is that the format of your conference determines not only your budget, obviously, right? An in-person ADASS would have been significantly more expensive than the online ADASS that we are participating in, because you have to pay for a venue and catering, which is easily 90+% of your budget in the case of an in-person event. But also, and probably more critically, or just as critically, changing the format of your event will also need a change in the skill set of your LOC, of your organizing team. Say you're organizing a bigger workshop, and then because of the fact that people are afraid to travel, you have to organize a much smaller one. Or maybe you're organizing an in-person event and you say, you know what, it's nice to have also people being able to participate online, so I'm going for a hybrid event, right? In all those cases, or our case, you know, in-person to online, the composition of your LOC should be carefully considered and realigned with the new format. In our case, we didn't have the time to do that. We started with a LOC that was great for an in-person event where you have people of all types and all skill sets, and you need people to physically go to places and physically talk to people and look at menus and press the button on the projector to see if it works and all that kind of stuff. With a online conference, you basically only need technical people. It's an exaggeration, but you mostly need technical people who can run servers, you can, you know, set up databases, query databases, and all that kind of stuff. In our case, we were not able to realign our LOC, and that meant that some people, 3 people in concrete, bore the brunt of the work to organize the conference. It can happen, but just be aware of that. The other thing that I want to say, and this is something that we are experiencing, all of us right now with this online conference, is that we were looking around, you know, like crazy to find platforms and pieces of software and tools that we could use to run an online conference. And at that time, there was simply no unified platform that we could use. Right, it would be nicer for all of us to have a nice single interface with, you know, very coherent interface with the video and the chat and everything integrated. We couldn't find anything. And my feeling right now, November 2020, is that that is still not the case. There are a couple of very promising candidates. I think next year we'll see some great platforms out there, but I'm afraid we're still not there. From an organizer point of view, the situation is even a little bit worse, because if you're not set up as a company, if you're not set up to receive payments, and your institution, in our case, our own institution, the 2 institutions here in Granada, if your institution are not set up to accept credit card payments, that was the case for us, then you have to rely on a third party, on an external company, the so-called technical secretariat. And communication with these people could be challenging. It was challenging for us. Their infrastructure is, well, still relying on, you know, lots of manual work. You know, every time at the beginning, every time one of you was registering, we would get an email with a PDF that I had to click, and copy, paste, click another one, copy, paste. And things have improved, but still the 2 databases, the 2 worlds don't really talk to each other very well. Also, sometimes it's even difficult to actually talk to these people because they live in a different world. We are living in the world of databases and software. They live in the world of banks and credit cards and that kind of stuff. So, yep, sure, thanks. Online conferences, however, are very positive. They have very positive sides to them. They are cheaper, which means that the tickets are cheaper, which means that more people can attend who could not normally afford to register and travel. Also, they're online, so you can watch them asynchronously from wherever. That also allows more and more people to join and to consume this type of content. You get almost free video recording for the talks. There's not like Lord of the Rings quality, but you know, it's pretty good. And that also allows you to publish those links to the wider community, as we are going to do. Still, not everything is fantastic. You know, you still need to use tools, online tools, computers, pieces of software. That can be intimidating, can be also alienating part of the community who find the software to be awkward to use. There are privacy concerns, so we try to address some of those with the choice of the tools, but you know, there's only so much you can do at this point. As I mentioned, you know, it would be nice to have a nicer platform for attending and organizing. And nothing beats drinking beers or wine or coffee with your friends and colleagues. I leave you with just this slide. We have almost 600 participants this year. Pretty good result. Lots of volunteers helping run the conference, chairs, room managers. A lot of people have stepped up. A lot of people are also helping on Discord, answering questions and stuff like that. We have a large number of posters. We're still thinking how to maybe organize something for posters. We'll see. And I think it's shaping up to be a pretty good conference. So enjoy the conference, and I'm happy to take any question if there is time and there are questions.
Thank you, Francesco. I guess you want me to read? Let's do it properly. So, question from Rob Seaman. I have attended other successful meeting during the pandemic, and there will be SPIE next month. Do you think ADASS has reached new groups of people due to going online?
Well, Rob, first of all, nice hearing from you. Long time no see. I think so. We have seen people from also, you know, not rich countries joining ADASS online, also because of the price for sure, you know, and also the fact that we are not that far because we are on a computer next to you. So I think so. I think the positive of an online event outweigh the negatives. And so I would suggest people consider an online portion also for a in-person event.
Okay, thank you.